Hi, I'm Jo Huey, and I wanted to talk to you today about hating alcohol, because I know that many families of alcoholics, daughters, sons of alcoholics, really do struggle with alcohol for very obvious reasons. So I thought it would be quite good to cover off some of the things that I've said, heard, being talked about and said to people that kind of raise this. So obviously, when we see that a loved one is struggling with, well, any addiction, or anything in particular, it's natural and normal to hate that thing. So whether that was cancer, or whether it was someone speeding in a car and they've hurt your loved one, it doesn't really matter what it is. I think we'd all sort of have that feeling about hating, and wanting, in a sense, to blame and hold that other thing to account. But actually, the reality of it is that alcohol in and of itself is not the issue. It's how it's being used is the problem. There's many people, for example, that could go into a casino and gamble and not have a gambling addiction, and they can enjoy it, they've got balance, they can take it or leave it. So in and of itself, the casino isn't the problem. I'm not saying it doesn't contribute or make things easier, much like alcohol. Obviously it's very accessible, it's socially, acceptable, it's a very reasonable price, it's available everywhere. So, it makes it a lot easier, doesn't it? A lot more accessible. So it's normal, I think it's normal that we would want to blame the other thing when we see that that's the very thing that's causing our loved one problems and, affecting their life in a negative way. And I know that if you are currently struggling with somebody's, a loved one's drinking, you may well be in the place where you hate alcohol. You might not be, some people can see that it isn't, alcohol isn't the thing that's making them drink. But a lot of people do blame the alcohol. And then what happens is, specifically, children of alcoholics, like myself, we might choose to not drink at all. Because it's kind of like, I don't know if it's like, we're in solidarity to our loved one, but, or we just out of fear, we don't want to become them, or we're fearful that if we start drinking, we might be them, we might be acting like them, or have a problem with it. But actually the alcohol is not the problem. It's how the person is using it and why they're using it. And at the moment, if you're right in the middle of someone's drinking, you're probably not in the right headspace to even consider any of this. It's something that might come with time. You might be open to it in time, you might not be. But I think, I've been in a place where I've hated alcohol as well. But over time, where I've understood much more about alcohol addiction, I recognise that it's not the alcohol that's the problem, but how that person has chosen to cope in their life. They have chosen to use alcohol, and then that has subsequently caused them problems. Because we know that many people can drink and not have a problem with alcohol. So and I guess when we feel that hatred towards it, that just causes us dis-ease, really, and it makes us feel uncomfortable, brings up anger, resentments, and that's not good for us. So it's important that, for me anyway, I think it's important to be open. I always talk about openness and approaching things with curiosity. Why is it that I have this opinion about alcohol? Well, because my parent drinks a lot and has got a problem with drink, and that's the problem. But what I would say to you is, if they weren't using alcohol, they would probably find something else. So then you'll be moving from, well, I hate alcohol, well, now I hate gambling, and now I hate shopping, and now I hate this. So you'd be forever hopping from one thing to another that you hate. And ultimately, it's not about any of those things. It's about how that person is and how they're trying to cope in life. And again, there's no judgment there. That's just how they've the thing they've chosen to use. So, you know, it's just about trying to get some distance from it, to get some education about alcohol misuse, to really understand about it. And then you might start to have a different perspective. And again, it makes no odds to me whether you change your mind or not, but it's actually what impact does it have on you and your relationships. Because many people, you know, if they are in a partnership, they will struggle if their partner drinks. So then that causes problems. So again, you need to, or I would suggest that you look at, you know, if this feeling around hating alcohol is impacting on your other relationships or your life as a whole. Because actually, you know, there's nothing to say that, yes, we're more susceptible, they say, you know, to becoming drinkers. But my dad's a drinker and I've never had a problem with alcohol. So there's no certainty around it. And so those fears are not necessarily going to be a reality. But I think that if you become a little bit more open and understand a bit more, it can positively, you know, impact your relationships. Because I'm sure that you don't want to be giving your partner a hard time about the fact they choose to drink, because they haven't had the experiences that you've had, so they're not going to see it in the same way that you do. And you know, they may feel you're being oversensitive and, you know, making a bigger thing out of it than there is, where they're coming at it from, well, I'm just enjoying a drink, you know, and I can take it or leave it. I'm not going to have a drink problem. And that can tap into our fears. But again, we can't tile everyone with the same brush. And I think that's something to be mindful of. You know, not everyone will have the same problem with alcohol that your parent has or your loved one has. And that's to say you may or may not have a problem with alcohol, but it isn't going to be because your parent had it. It's because you're susceptible yourself, and stresses in your life and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear your thoughts if this resonates with you, if it's something that, you know, you've experienced. But for me, I can now see, now I have the knowledge and understanding that actually alcohol isn't the problem. It's how we are supporting people, how they're coping with their mental health issues, their challenges, what's going on for them. So hopefully you find that helpful. Please do click on the little bell to subscribe to my channel if you want to hear and see and watch any of my other videos. And for any of you that are Daughters of Alcoholics, I do have a Facebook group called Daughters of Alcoholics, and you're more than welcome to join that, and the group is really supportive, so please do come in there if that's something you're looking for. All right, take care, bye.